Folks, it's me, Denny Carter from Rotoworld and NBC Sports, coming at you for the Week 6 Fantasy Football Q&A, where you give me your Qs, I give you your As. Still never been wrong. 3 years doing this. 7,241 for 7,241. Believe it or not. Look it up. Review the tape. Grind the film if you must. Never gotten one wrong. So get your questions in. We're going to talk about some nerdy matchup metrics for Week 6, both for running back purposes and for slot receiver purposes. Why so random? Well, because I'm interested in those two things, and it's my thing. It's my stream, and you can't tell me what to do or what metrics to look at. I'm a grown man, and I talk like that. Before we even get into the nerdy metrics, I want to say first, check out my regression files on Rotoworld. Check out my matchup column, which should be live on the site right now. I look at matchups against pass funnel and run funnel defenses. Shouldn't be the end-all be-all of your start-sit decisions, but it can factor. It can serve as a sort of tiebreaker if you are struggling with whom to play. I think that's right. In Week 6. So check those out. Also, check out the Rotoworld Football Show Week 6 preview with me, Kyle Dvorak, and Roto Patrick. This is his actual full name. We talked about every game. I think we made some good points. So check that out. I've been watching Who's the Boss lately, which is not on Peacock. There are a lot of good shows on Peacock, though. You should check out Peacock. But I've been watching Who's the Boss, which for the Zoomers, that was a sitcom it started in the early 80s. It went to the early 90s, I believe. Because I remember the show vaguely, but not really. So I've been watching that at night, kind of, when it's sleepy time and I'm trying to trick myself into getting sleepy. I watch Who's the Boss. And I had to share this with you all, because I'm the wide receiver, enemy speaks kindly and holds a knife guy. You may have heard of me. It's the social media post that never dies. It's been shared literally millions of times, even though the actual post itself has like 600 retweets. But man, people love the dopamine rush they get from screen capping that thing. I'll tell you that. And honestly, I respect it and I get it and I can relate. Anyway, so I'm that guy. I'm the guy who did that post many years ago. And so this caught my attention. Tony Danza, of course, is one of the stars of Who's the Boss. He plays a guy named Tony Maselli, I believe. Former Cardinals second baseman Tony Maselli. That's the story there for him. And he is throwing the football around with his daughter Samantha, and his daughter kind of catches an attitude. It's a long story, but storms off after catching the football from Tony, and the camera pans to Tony, and he said, "Receivers, so touchy." And I said, "Oh man, Tony knew. He knew back in 1984 or 1985, whenever that episode was. He knew that wide receivers are divas. They're touchy. They're sensitive, very sensitive." And right now AJ Brown is carrying that flame. He is the number one. He is the touchiest, most diva-like receiver out there. Especially now that the Eagles are bad. But I had to share that with someone. I wanted to share it with you primarily. So I will get to your questions in just a moment, I promise. I did want to remind folks, first of all, put players' full names in there if you can. It helps the process. It helps it run smoother. More smootherly. There. And then the second thing, don't get cute. Don't get cute. And you know what we say on the show, you get cute, you get the boot. There's no two ways about it. You're out. You get kicked out. I say mods. Kick this person out. They just asked me if they should bench Josh Allen. Too cute. So don't get too cute. All right, let's start with the running back stuff. So this is the part of the show where I talk about a key metric and something I look at, going into each week. That is yards before contact per rushing attempt. I do this because I find it helpful in identifying good matchups for running backs. Basically, identifying front sevens and defenses that are being bullied on the line of scrimmage. Some would say at the line of scrimmage. And so it gives you some indication of running backs that should have room to run. And that correlates with rushing production. That correlates with explosive runs, things of that nature. So every week we start with this. The Bears, of course, who didn't play last week, they still give up the highest rate of yards before contact. And so I just want to warn you folks, I'm going to answer Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt for almost every question here. I'm very bullish. I know he only played like 50% of the snaps last week against the Chargers. I could see that increasing, and the matchup is just too good to turn down against the Bears. The Titans are giving up the second highest rate of rush yards before contact. So that's I always want to say Alvin Gentry. It's not his name. Simply not his name. It's Ashton Gentry, Denny. And he should be in a good spot here. I think the Raiders could be, as Kyle Dvorak might say, giga turbo run heavy against the Titans. Bills give up the third highest rate of rush yards before contact. So that's Bijan Robinson, who recently changed his name back to Bijan. So we've gone from Bijan to Bijan, now back to Bijan. It depends on how he does the previous week. So right now it's Bijan. It's also, I want to say, and I will not be silenced. Rotopat is not here to cut my mic. I want to say it's also a Tyler Algier stat. The Falcons are like crazy run heavy lately. I know they didn't play last week. If it's neutral script against the Bills, they're going to run a lot. That could generate, I don't know, something crazy like 8 carries for Tyler Algier. Anyway, if you're down horrific at running back like I am, you could do worse, I think, than Algier against a bad Buffalo rush defense. Bengals give up the 4th highest rated yards before contact. You don't need me to tell you to play Josh Jacobs. Giga smash spot for Josh Jacobs. Colts give up the 5th highest rate of rush yards before contact. I said this on the Rotoworld Football Show preview show the other day, that the Colts are quietly, low key, as my 12-year-old would say, not a good run defense. And so if they don't roll over the Cardinals, and I was going to say, well, we don't know if Kyler Murray is going to play, but who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter. Jacoby Brissett better easily. Jacoby Brissett, here's what I'll say. If he plays, he's going to be way better for MHJ than Kyler. No one is worse for a receiver of MHJ's profile than Kyler Murray, who is, it's maybe the worst downfield thrower in of this century. I don't know where to cut it off. But Brissett will take on the idea, the mindset, MHJ down there somewhere. And that's something Kyler Murray has never done. What am I getting at? Anyway, so Michael Carter could be in a good spot against the Colts, is what I meant to say. Let's skip down a little bit because the Giants played last night. The Vikings don't play. Man, the Giants are a bad run defense, and Saquon couldn't get there. It makes you think. Mid-Quan Barkley. That's what I've heard. Okay, it's rude. I'd say don't say it. It's too rude. It's too mean. But many are saying Mid-Quan Barkley. I'm just telling you what's on the streets. The Jaguars, 8th highest rate of rush yards before contact. So I guess that is a Ken Walker Charbonnet situation. Go down to the bottom here. I'll just wrap it up here. Browns are the best at limiting rush yards before contact. It's a really wretched spot for Gainwell or Warren or whoever is the lead back for Pittsburgh this week. Patriots are second best. Who do the Patriots play? Oh, they play the Saints. I mean, you have to try to find a way not to play Alvin Kamara. Jets are third best, surprisingly, in this category. So, J.K. Dobbins not in the best spot ever. And Seattle is fourth best. So I would say, who do they play? Who does Seattle play? No one knows. It's hard to say. They play the Jaguars. So just keep your expectations in check for Travis Etienne. All right. Let's get into your questions. Excuse me. Let's start with Schmitty. Jay Schmitty, I should say. Derrick Henry or David Montgomery standard scoring. That is a tough one. That is not an easy one. I'd still go with Henry just because of the touchdown equity there. All right, but let's go on to Nicholas Seitzer. Says Baker Mayfield or Jordan Love. I mean, Baker's going to be down Godwin, down Evans, down Bucky Irving. But then again, I mean, Jordan. Listen, the Packers could literally throw like 11 passes this week against the Bengals. Like, it could be that sort of game script. And then 3 of those go for touchdowns, and you feel silly if you bench Jordan Love. I'd still go Baker because I think that I just can't get past the idea that Jordan Love has like basically no floor here because of the way that the Packers are probably going to just run it down the throats of the Bengals. All right, let's see. Zork's in the chat. Assuming CeeDee Lamb is MIA, yeah, he's not going to play. Pick 2.5 PPR. Tucker, Io Maynor, Bourne, Coleman, Hunter, Flournoy. Yeah, so I would play Bourne for sure. 32% air yards, 22% targets last week for Kendrick Bourne. I think he'll be in every, he's not going to be a rotational guy. He'll be in every down guy. Travis Hunter's matchup is actually pretty good. Seattle has not been great against slot receivers. We'll get into that in a moment. I guess it's Bourne and Hunter. I wish I had different answers, but I don't. Nate Deasy, once again in the chat. You're the best doctor in town. Salute. Like I say every week, doctors, we're taught in doctor school to salute for some reason. Yeah, so thank you. Bill, so I guess JCM, Jalen Warren, or Henry in the flex. It's JCM for me. It's not even close. Do I have any concern about Breece Hall's value if he's traded? I mean, it depends on where he goes. If he goes somewhere where it's a crowded backfield, and yeah, I'd have some concerns. I don't think he'll be traded though. Anyway, all right, let's go to Mr. Prime. Mr. Prime says, "Greetings, Denny. Hello. My winless team. Oof, I'm sorry to hear that. Is looking strongly into turning things around this week. They should look powerfully into it. I actually agree with that. But I need help finalizing my flex options. Choose 2 between Matthew Golden, Chase Brown, Kendrick Bourne, and Calvin Ridley. I would go with Bourne. I guess I'm just going to keep saying Kendrick Bourne, honestly. All right, I think it's Ridley. I think it's Ridley and Bourne. I'm not chasing the Matthew Golden thing. He's not commanding targets at any sort of rate. Probably low volume for the Packers passing game. I'm just not doing that. I do want to say this about Chase Brown. I talked about it on the Rotoworld Football Show on Thursday. He was targeted on 40+% of his routes last week against Detroit. Over the season, he's been targeted on almost 30% of his routes. Now, he's not running a ton of routes. He's splitting it with Samaje Perine for some reason. But Joe Flacco our greatest millennial, elder millennial, I should say. There's a big difference between elder millennial and younger millennial. I don't know what you call them. Big difference between being born in the early 80s and the late 80s. Let me get back to football. Chase Brown, I think, could be the beneficiary of Joe Flacco receiving the snap in shotgun and immediately getting rid of the ball. It'll be Brown, it'll be Jamar Chase in the short areas, and I think that's about it. So don't just for this purpose, I'm going to go Ridley and Bourne, but don't dismiss Brown in PPR formats only. Follow up after hearing you, Pat, and Kyle's podcast yesterday. Thank you for listening. Pollard, Chase Brown, or Haskins. I have to start one. That's unfortunate. I'd go with Chase Brown. Ugh. Feels wrong. Lanny Horn is in the chat once again. Happy Friday, Doc. Flex full PPR. Haskins, Vidal, Io Maynor, Hunter Henry, Ty Thornton, and Tesla, whatever his name is. If Amon-Ra St. Brown sits, is he really in danger of missing the game? I don't know if he's in. I feel like that's a leap. All right, I do want to mention about the Chargers backfield. Let's just get to that because I'm sure a lot of you are agonizing over that. So Kamani Vidal played in garbage time last week alongside Trey Lance. I'm not going to say that means everything here in how the LA backfield will be divvied up with Amari and Hampton on the bench or sideline with injury. But it means something. It's got to mean something that Jim Harbaugh and Greg Roman said, okay, throw out the kid like for garbage time. So that makes me think, and we're trying to read the tea leaves. We're reading the tea leaves harder than any tea leaf has ever been read. And I think that Hassan Haskins will be the lead back. And it happens to be a really good matchup against the Dolphins, who are, by the way, I mentioned in my column, you can check it out on rotoworld.com, that the Dolphins are a pretty pronounced run funnel defense. So I like Haskins. But, St. Brown, I think, is going to play unless I miss like a critical update. Lanny also says trade Quentin Johnston for Bill for JCM. I mean, it depends on your team, but yeah. All right, Nate Ford, happy Friday. Desperate at tight end with Powers out. I feel you, brother. Not great. The Zoomers, they convinced me to draft Brock Bowers in a couple important leagues. They left me no choice. They said it'll be fun. This guy's basically a wide receiver operating at the tight end position. It has not been fun. It actually has been horrible. It has, let me check my notes. Yes, tanked my leagues. It's over for me. Who to start in half PPR between Fannin, Ingram, Mayer, and Otten? That's tough. That is tough. I don't think it could be Ingram because he's only running half the routes. Michael Mayer might be legit. I would lean Fannin. I'll tell you why in a minute, but I think Fannin's in a good spot here. I think the Browns could be a little more pass heavy than we think. So I would lean Fannin. Francisco's in the chat. Hello, Doc. Hello to you. Need 2 full PPR. Cortland Sutton, Garrett Wilson, ETN, J.K. Dobbins. Need 2. You need 2. Well, it's got to be Garrett Wilson. I'd go with let's stack up that game. Let's get crazy and go with Garrett Wilson and Cortland Sutton. Dobbins is interesting. Anyway, also start Mac Jones or Trevor Lawrence. Well, we know that the Jaguars' offense was better with Mac Jones. We do know that. Mac Jones is going to in a good spot. If you throw out the Niners' recent bye week, and just take the 3 Mac Jones starts this season. Not a joke, not a bit, not an exaggeration in any way. Mac Jones in those games leads the NFL in passing yards. This is Kyle Shanahan's greatest accomplishment. It's what he was born to do, dare I say. Like Super Bowls, NFC title games, whatever, making Mac Jones look elite. That's something. He has strived for this his whole life. He finally got there. Mac Jones obviously better than Brock Purdy as well. I would go with Mac Jones against a pass funnel Bucs defense. The Niners are getting nothing going on the ground. They're not going to be able to here. You just hope that for once Mac Jones is not, curled up in the fetal position, in more pain than anybody's ever been on the field, and then immediately back in the game. You just hope you don't have to go through that. But I would lean McElroy G. Jones the fifth. Hi, hope. Patrick says, Kamani Vidal season or Romeo Dobbs in the flex spot. I'd go with Dobbs. I can't tell you to play Vidal. Timothy Chan, half PPR. Who should I start at running back? DeAndre Swift against the Commanders, Chase Brown against the Packers, or Zachary Charbonnet. Let's be formal here against the Jags. God, it's so ugly. I guess it has to be Swift. Let's see. Person's in the chat. Too cute to start Knicks over Jaden Daniels. Let me run it through the old computer in my head. Too cute by half. Listen, I know it's not been fun with Jaden Daniels. I totally get that. But the Commanders-Bears has all the makings of a back and forth game. I think both teams' offenses can exploit or have strengths against the other team's defenses, if you know what I'm saying. That wasn't clear at all. But what I'm saying is I think both teams can score a lot of points. I went Jaden Daniels there. Bo Nix is fine. He's fine against the Jets. But too cute. Way too cute. Get out of the chat. You're too cute. You get the boot. I'm kidding. You can stay. Would I start DJ Moore on Monday or Tyler Algier? Ooh, that's a good one. You know what? If I'm going to stick by my guns, if I'm going to keep going with this theme of Commanders Bears being fun for fantasy, then I'm going to tell you DJ Moore. I mean, Algier, could stumble into the end zone or something, but there's really no scenario where he's like a smash play, So you go with Moore and Jaden Daniels, and you hope for a back and forth. I think it's a pretty good bet. Myself, help, this person says, down so hilariously bad. I love to be down bad. Better when it's funny. Two questions. Sit one between Michael Carter, Pollard, Haskins, and Henry. Well, you're not sitting Henry, I don't think. I would sit. I'd sit Haskins. I like Michael Carter against the Colts, actually. And then Jameson Williams versus the Chiefs, or Flournoy against the Panthers. So I get the JMO frustration. Trust me. I in some leagues, in some like receiver crazy leagues, I had to take him at like the third round, something like that. So I get that pain. This Chiefs-Lions game, I think, has a 52-point total. We don't get that very much. Okay, this ain't 2020 anymore. So it should be a good game environment. I understand wanting to bench JMO. I don't think this is the spot to do that. So, I'd go with JMO. I wrote a lot about Flournoy, who's the guy who went off for the Cowboys last week. I wrote in the regression files about him, and his target commanding abilities extend back to college. So I think that he can be a thing as long as CeeDee Lamb is out. We have to watch Turpin's Cavante Turpin's situation. to see if he's playing, because of course he missed last week, which meant that Flournoy got well, not starter snaps, but about half the snaps. It looks like Turpin, with his foot injury, did not practice on Thursday. I would guess that he will not play. So Flournoy is in play for deeper formats. All right, let's move on. Austin in the chat. Please help Dr. Denny. Two salutes. I've got some serious flexual frustrations. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you be less flexually frustrated. Half PPR, I need to start one. Kareem Hunt, Zach Charbonnet, or Keon Coleman. What's the prescription? Big Pharma says you need to have PPR league. I need to start one. You need to start. This is ugly. Whoa, this is ugly. Charbonnet, I guess. All right. Steven says, looking for the better floor play at RB2. Trayvon Henderson, Kendre Miller, Vidal, Corum, Davis, Isaiah Davis. Better floor play. I mean, I think it's Henderson, with Antonio Gibson out for the year. I guess it has to be Henderson. It's a good spot, I think, for Henderson. It seems like the team is not going to treat him as what we thought, he was going into the season. But nevertheless, we persist. Austin says, please help. Oh, no, I already got to that one. Sorry. Joseph in the chat, help. Dare I start Haskins or Vidal over a tandem of DJ Moore and Tyquan Thornton? Haskins so I would start Haskins over Thornton. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Which Kansas City receiver is the best bet for bulk target share? Xavier Worthy? I don't know. Ian Taylor says, great content. We love our content. Here's what we love to do. We love to consume content. Imagine for a moment, if I may digress, not consuming content. What if we just didn't? Wouldn't that be crazy? What would you do if you weren't You'd be outside? You'd be touching grass? I don't know. It's hard to imagine. Thank you, though. I am a content generator, content creator. It's all the same. Flex Jameson Williams or Josh Downs. That's a tough one. See, if Alec Pierce is back for the Colts, then Josh Downs' usage will probably decrease. I hate to tell people to play Jameson Williams, but I think I have no choice. Oh, this is really nice. Nadeezy says, I'm so sorry. I don't know what's going on with my throat. Regression files are the best. I appreciate it. I actually put a lot of work into the regression files, and I try to make it as actionable as possible. I know that sounds weird for fantasy content, but I do. This week I took a really long, close look, many words on tight end target per route run data, because again, it interests me, and I also think it can provide some insight into tight ends who can be a thing, who might not yet be a thing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. So check it out. Brandon says, bring back the Denny cardigans. We'll see. It's not quite that cold yet. Yes, if you get too cute, you get the boot. This person says, Dr. Dentorius H.W. Carter Washington the 8th. Listen, that is my full name. Now you know my full name. It's embarrassing, but it is Dentorius H.W. Carter Washington the 8th. That's funny. Yeah, kickers. This person, Stuntman Chuck. Stuntman Chuck. We love our Stuntman Chuck. Don't we, folks? Kickers. So Schrader from the Colts is out, and that means Mike Money Badger Badgley one of the worst nicknames in history, is going to kick, I think, for Indianapolis. I don't think, I know. Against the Cardinals. He's a good play, should benefit from positive game script. You also have Matt Prater, one of our greatest millennials, kicking for Buffalo still. Looking powerfully into some of this here. Here's what you do. You just simply look at who's favored and you go that. Brandon McManus would be an excellent play against the Bengals, although keep an eye on him because Matt LaFleur said he's struggling with a quad injury. So if he doesn't play, honestly, whoever replaces him, whoever kicks for Green Bay this week is in play in 12-team leagues. So keep an eye on that for sure. You have I was going to say Boswell, but he's not a streamer. Maybe Daniel Carlson, get a little crazy, get a little nuts with Daniel Carlson. You never know. But I do like the Money Badger. David says, can I trust Ladd McConkey this week? I mean, you probably can't like totally trust him, but okay. Yeah, I wanted to mention this. What we saw in the Joe Alt-less Chargers offense was Justin Herbert getting his butt kicked every drop back. That's not good. But also way more checkdowns and short area passes, right? And so who does that benefit? It benefits Keenan Allen and it benefits Ladd McConkey. And I think it makes Quentin Johnston a less reliable play than we were hoping for, right? After the first few weeks of the season. So losing look, not every offensive line injury should make us reconsider who we're playing in a given week. Okay. I think sometimes we read a little too much into that as a fantasy community, as it were. I would say this one is big, obviously, considering what happened last week against the Commanders. So as weird as it sounds, the Joe Alt injury is good for Ladd McConkey in a way. I don't know who you're going to play him over, but I don't mind him this week. PPR worthy or BTJ? I think you still go with Brian Thomas. Yes, right. I want to mention this. Seahawks secondary last week was really banged up against the Bucks. That's how Emeka Egbuka got away with it once again. I'm not mad. People keep saying, why are you so mad about Emeka Egbuka getting away with it every week? And I say, I'm not. I'm actually happy. I'm not. I'm mad. I'll be straight with you. I'm mad. He's getting away with it. But so if the Seahawks are going to be missing at least one or two of their secondary starters, coverage unit starters, I should say, that should be pretty good for BT2. The J, Gainwell or Vidal in the flex. I mean, if Jaylen Warren is active, it's hard. Yeah, this is hard because, I mean, Gainwell was so good last time when Warren was out. Oh, I got to share a story with you guys just real quick. I was actually on the road that Sunday morning, and the Steelers played overseas, so the game started at like 9 or 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And so I'm on the road coming back from an overnight, and I miss kickoff. I just totally blanked, right? Well, guys, I have Kenny freaking Gainwell on every single redraft bench. And I get home at like 11:30 and this guy has 22 fantasy points. He ends up with like 29. I was going to be sick, man. I might recover from this like by the end of the year. I don't know. It might be multiple years. That was such a kick in the gut. But I guess it would have to be Gainwell. I just can't. I cannot say like you got to play Kamani Vidal over anyone right now. Tommy Talaga says pick 2: Sutton, Ladd, White, Myers, Pollard, flex, PPR, wide receiver, running back. Dude, could we get some punctuation in here? I guess it's got to be Sutton and Rashad White. Oh, I guess. Yeah. All right. Ty Corbin, desperate at flex. I feel you. Flournoy, Burden, or Sterling Shepard. Shepard's not a bad play because of all the injuries. Obviously, Mike Evans not playing, Chris Godwin not playing. The Bucks might have no choice but to give K. Dotton another 5 targets. I don't even know how you get this guy a target. He's the least open guy I've ever seen on an NFL field. Cardio K, they're calling him. So Luther Burden, there's a thing called a post-bye rookie bump where coaches feel more comfortable and like ready to play their rookies coming out of a bye. That could be the situation with Luther Burden. Olamide Zaccheaus has been the primary slot guy for Caleb Williams this year. He's running 70% of his routes from the slot. And I mentioned this on the Fantasy Football Happy Hour today. Check that out. Washington is weak against slot receivers, right? They're giving up the most yards to slot receivers, and they're giving up the 3rd highest completion rate to guys lined up in the slot. So it's a good spot. But if I tell you to play Burden, it's more of like a projection, right? Like, I think he'll play more now that they're coming out of the bye, the Bears, I should say, and Ben Johnson might be more comfortable. But maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it's just Zaccheaus season forever. I don't know. So I feel like it would be irresponsible for me to say Burden. If Turpin is out, I actually would go with Flournoy here. I don't feel great about it, but whatever. All right. Bearded Guru is Trayvon Henderson over Ladd in the flex crazy. It's not crazy. It's not too cute. I'll give you credit. It's not too cute. You don't get the boot. I'd probably go with Ladd. David says, should I pick up Hunter and drop JMO? I mean Travis Hunter. I mean, it depends on your receivers. It depends on the size of your league, your benches, and whatnot. If JMO can't get there this week in such a good environment, then I think actually it might be time to just completely just ignore him for fantasy. That sounds crazy. The guy's running all the routes. That's the thing. Like, I think he's run more routes than Amon-Ra St. Brown this year. It's just wild. Never been good. Hall of Fame. Jameson Williams. Should I pick up Hunter? I guess so. Sam. Oh yeah. Oh man. You just mentioned that Tony Danza was in Angels in the Outfield. Yeah, there you go. All right. This person says, Sir Denny Magna Carter. After last night's showing, is it safe to drop Tank Bigsby in 12-team leagues? Yeah, you don't need him. David says, can Badgley replicate Schrader's points? We're talking about the Colts kicker situation, which by the way, I could do a whole podcast on that. Okay, don't dare me. Don't even tempt me into doing a podcast on the Colts kicker situation. I'll do it. Kicker doesn't matter. Let's be real. Yeah, Badgley is just as good as Schrader, just as good as anybody else in there. So that's fine. Jeffrey says, if the amount of money you made was solely dependent on your production, you would want the ball. All right. I agree. For years, I thought, this person says, Jeremy Roberts says, for years, I thought the Elton John song, Hold Me Close Now, Tony Danza. Oh, right. Tiny Dancer. That's pretty funny. I've heard that before, but it's a real thing. He's such a goof, that Tony. I looked up a picture of him. I looked up a picture of Tony Danza, like modern, current day Tony Danza. And I'm not going to be one of these people who's like 40 years later, you won't believe how he looks. You won't believe how he looks. He looks freaking old because he's old. Because he's like 70 or something. But he has, at least the picture I saw, he had very long gray hair. Oh man, it's very sort of strange to see someone that old after you have not seen them since they were very young. All right, enough about Tony Danza. You didn't tune in for that. Hey, listen, guy, answer my questions. That's what you're saying. I get it. All right, we're gonna go into the other nerdy metrics here in a second. We have about 15, 18 minutes, something like that. Hey, Doc, would you go Jaden over May? I'm worried about the weather with Jaden and Bill going off. I'm worried about the weather. Look, I'm not a meteorologist here or anywhere else. I mean, if the weather's like catastrophic in a game, I guess you can worry about it. I'll give you permission to worry about it. But if not, then don't worry so much. I would go Jaden. Like I said earlier, I like the environment. It's just too good to turn down. Yeah, and don't worry. Yeah, don't worry about. I mean, the fact that JCM got there last week, you're fine. Zonk, yeah, Zonk, Zork. I'm so sorry, Zork. I called you Zonk. What am I doing? Den Dog, I need Saquon Copium. Midquan. We're calling him Midquan. There's no Copium. It is what it is. He's a decent floor play based on touches. That offense is broken. That offense has like 7 plays. Okay. And like you can't completely overhaul an offense in the middle of the season. And that's pretty much what the Eagles would have to do. So unless he starts ripping off 50, 60, 70 yarders, you have a top 12 guy, probably, maybe. But you don't have a top 5 guy and probably not a top 10 guy. Stuntman Chuck, how over is it for Derrick Henry this week against the Rams? Is it too cute to start David Njoku over him in the flex? That's too cute. It's awfully dang cute to start David Njoku over Derrick Henry in the flex. I wouldn't do it. I'm not a cute guy. That's my wife. All right, let's go to one more and then we'll get into the slot receiver situation. Deesh is in the chat. Half PPR flex Jennings. You misspelled Juwan Jennings' name so much, I actually struggled with this one. But Juwan Jennings, Haskins, or Kendre. If Jennings plays, you got to play him. You got to play him. He's a candidate for 10 targets instantly against a beatable secondary. So many questions, guys. I'm going to really try here. I'm going to try to get ones that are representative of the overall chat situation. Okay. All right. Let's hide this comment, and then we're going to go into slot receiver matchups. Okay. All right. This is completion rate over expected against slot targets. If that makes sense to you. I hope it does. The Ravens are giving up the highest completion rate over expected to targets to the slot. I mean, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. Listen to this. Puka Nacua leads the league in first read targets, which probably you're not shocked by that. But Devontae Adams is 6th overall in first read targets. So the ball is going one of 2 places in LA, but you knew that. Okay, here's what I want to talk about. The Steelers giving up the second highest completion rate over expected to the slot. It should be good for Njoku and Fannin, who are kind of rotating in that slot position. Fannin, I mentioned this on the show yesterday. Fannin last week with Dylan Gabriel under center for the first time had an average depth of target of 1. That was his A dot. The A dot for Njoku was like 4.5, I believe. I'm just trying to remember my research. There's no way to know for sure. It should be good for both those guys. Yeah. I mentioned this earlier. Washington, number 3, third worst against the slot. So Zacchaeus or what's his face, Burden. Patriots, 4th worst against the slot as far as completion rate over expected given up. I guess like Chris Olave, like Juwan Jennings, something like that. But that's gotten a lot less fun, I will say, over the last few weeks. The Bucks are giving up the 5th highest completion rate over expected against the slot this season. So I suppose like Jake Tungus, he plays from the slot some. Jennings, because Kendrick Bourne played, I believe, primarily from the outside. So you would have, this would be a Jennings stat. All right. So you have those in your back pocket mentally. Let's go to the teams that are shutting down the slot. The Jags really destroying the slot situation this year. Slot targets are at 13% below their expected pass completion rate against the Jags. I mean, you're not benching Jackson Smith and Jigba, so I guess maybe this doesn't matter. The Broncos are 2nd best against the slot. Garrett Wilson will avoid that for the most part, but it's a bad matchup for everybody here. Colts are 3rd best. That's a little surprising. So maybe a little bit of a knock on Trey McBride. Maybe the ball will be maybe the Cardinals will have no choice but to throw the ball downfield a little bit to Marvin Harrison Jr. Chargers 4th best against the slot here. That would be Waddle. That would be Darren Waller to some extent. And then the Packers, 5th best against the slot. So we're not loving that for Jamar Chase, but again, you can't bench Lamar Chase or Jamar Chase. Either one of those guys, you got to play both Lamar and Jamar. All right, let's get back to questions. Ruben says, I rolled with Travis Hunter as my 2nd flex spot last week. Should I stick with him or go with Stevenson or Gainwell? Hashtag flexual frustrations. I would not. I would go Stevenson. There. Good question, though. Andrew says, with Nico Collins on a bye and Ricky Pearsall out, which 2 receivers should I start between Travis Hunter, Hollywood Brown, and Troy Franklin? I like questions like this. I'm not laughing at you, Andrew. I like questions like this because you have to start by trying to explain to the fantasy guy online, like, I don't suck this bad. Like, I didn't draft such a horrible team that I'm like agonizing over whether to play Hollywood Brown or Troy Franklin. Like, I actually had a pretty good team for a while there with Pearsall and Nico Collins. So yes, you know what? You throw that in there. Okay. I respect you anyway, but I respect you more in this situation. All right. Which 2 receivers should I start between? I would start Travis Hunter, and I would start Troy Franklin. Franklin's in a decent spot. I mean, the Broncos implied total is outrageous. In fact, I'll find it for you. Okay, don't tempt me. Don't dare me. I'll do it. Oh no, wait. Oh God. Let's see. Broncos. 25.5 point total, which is not as much as I thought it was, but still a lot. Wow. The Packers have a 29.25 point total. That's crazy. Oh my goodness. Man, the Bengals are down horrific. So yeah, I would go Hunter and Troy G. Franklin the 5th. Jeffrey says, okay. Let's see. Myers or Coleman this week. I would go with Myers, with Bowers still out there. Matt McClung says, flex spot PPR, Coleman or Hunt. I could pick up Downs, Shepard, Io Maynor, or Hollywood Brown. I actually would go. I'm sorry. Like, I know this sounds wrong and bad, but like, if it were me and I was looking at Coleman or Hunt and I saw Shepard on the waiver wire, I would go with Shepard because the ball's got to go somewhere. And if Godwin is out, and I believe he is, he's not expected to play per ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, then Sterling Shepard should be out there for the whole game. and also Baker likes him. I think they played on the same college team. Locker room narrative, shower narrative. They got as many narratives going on. This is analytics. No one will tell you this. I'm telling you, though. That's analytics. I like Shepard. Stuntman Chuck in the chat. Dr. Denton, Julius, Chestnut Carter, the 11th. Again, my real name. Starts Bo Nix against the Jets or Baker Mayfield against the... Actually, it says, start Bo Nix against the Jets in London or Baker Mayfield versus the Niners in America. Are you testing my patriotism? Is that what you're doing here? I would go with... I'd go with Bo Nix. That Jets defense is just so bad. Myers or Bourne. Honestly, I can't go with Myers. I just can't in this situation. We're going to ride the Kendrick Bourne thing for as long as it lasts. Sam says, trust in Flacco. I will never quote trust in Flacco. Dr. Denny. Travis Hunter is on waivers in a 10-team half PPR league. Should I add him and drop Godwin? You probably don't need him. I would much rather have Godwin long term. Godwin's being over the 2 games. I think Godwin has been targeted on like 23% of his routes. It's not fantastic, but it's all right. We can work with that. I'd much rather have Godwin. So no, I don't think I'd do that. Dr. Denny, pick up Fannin or Loveland. I would go with Fannin as the stash there. Debo, Omar says Debo or Waddle. That's actually a great question. I mean, Waddle is a really good play. There's just no 2 ways about it. Like Waddle was being targeted on 20% of his routes with Tyreek in the lineup. Last week, I think he was targeted 27%. That's a huge increase. Saying that with McLaurin still sidelined, I'm not benching Deebo Samuel. I'm just not. You can't make me. Brent says, Denny, ease my anxiety. I'll give it a try. My best advice would be logging off, but you log on, you stay logged on for just a moment here while I answer your question. Half PPR, I need 1 running back, 1 receiver, 1 flex. Oof, okay. Henderson, Fournoy, Hollywood Brown, Thornton, Rashard Smith. I'm starting Dak. Oh, I see what you're saying because you have Fournoy. All right, so you need 1 running back. So your 1 running back would be definitely Travion Henderson. 1 wide receiver. It would be Thornton, and then your flex would be Fournoy, and you got that Dak Fournoy goodness going on, just like you knew when you drafted Dak Prescott in August. You said to your buddies, "Look, I'm drafting Dak Prescott because by early October, I'm going to be hammering that Dak Fournoy stack." And then they took your beer away from you, and they said they're worried about you, and they'd like to talk with you. And the rest was just uncomfortable. And I get it. I get it. All right, Keith. Full PPR. It's somebody named Tesla. I guess Isaac Tesla. Horton or Coker if he plays. I guess Jalen Coker if he plays. Yeah. All right. So we have. Doobie says Dak, Quinshawn, A-Chance, CMC. Okay, wow. What does the chat think of my Superflex? I say it's good. You have good players, is what I would say. Briscoe, 2 separate flex questions. Jacoby Myers, Tungus, or Tyquan Thornton. I'd go Jacoby. And then Hassan Haskins, Trey Tucker, or Flournoy. Man, that's tough. I think Haskins. I think I'm going Haskins. All right. I'm scrolling down. I'm sorry. I had to skip some of these, folks. I'm trying to get to like not no offense, but good ones. Let's see. What defenses to play? I don't want to get into that. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. Chase says Judkins or JCM. That's a good one. I said at the beginning of the chat, I'm gonna be saying JCM quite often, and I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna go with him there. All right. Hi Doc. Down horribly bad. You all know how to get me. You just use my language and try to, make me laugh. How dare you? First of all. But you got me. All right. Down horribly bad at running back. Should I consider trading Jefferson for James Cook? My other wide receivers are J-Mo Jennings, Hunter, Dobbs, Hollywood Brown. Or should I just quit this league? You should not quit. You should keep grinding like a running back. Okay. I would not make that trade. I would not. Try to stay afloat. Hampton will be back, I think, at some point. Bucky will be back, hopefully, for me. So I would not make that trade, though. All right, let's see. Let's see. Derek says, who should I start in my flex, Romeo Dobbs or Juwan Jennings? If Jennings plays, I would actually lean Jennings. Oh, here we have a deep league question. I love it. Just a disgusting league question. Full PPR, three wide receivers, 2 flexes, no super flex, missing Terry, missing Rice, missing Kittle, missing Strange. Who to start? Tyquan Thornton or Parker Washington or Juju? Tyquan. At least you have some upside there. That's a sick question. Disgusting. Ooh, I wanted to mention something about Brenton Strange's injury. Okay. So. Hunter Long is going to take over as the tight end 1 for Jacksonville. And here's the thing. I would guess that he'll run a 70+% route rate this week against the Seahawks. And oh God, please scroll down. So the Seahawks actually are good tight end matchup. It's why I was okay last week with Kate Otten, who kind of got there. I think 4 catches for 80 yards or something like that. We'll take it. The Seahawks are giving up 9.1 targets per game to the tight end position. Only the Packers and Bengals give up more tight end targets per game. So if you are just down like biblically, sorry to get religious, but it's a thing. It's a thing. You can't deny it. If you're down that bad at tight end, you could do a lot worse than Hunter Long. Trust me, he's in the league. He's on your waiver wire. So you can go ahead with that. All right. We'll do a couple more questions here. Ruben says, Dr. Denny, Bryce Young or Sam Darnold? Darnold easily. Darnold is great. Darnold is cooking. The Jags don't pressure the passer really at all. I think they're like 28th, 29th in pressure rate. There's no way to know for sure. And Darnold is just lighting defenses up when he's in a clean pocket. He's still not very good under pressure. Whatever. Okay, whatever. I don't think he'll be facing much pressure this week. And so it's Darnold pretty easily for me. Luke says Coleman, Bourne, Gainwell, or Burden at the flex. It's Bourne. We're riding that train. We are born again. Again, sorry for getting religious. I apologize. Julio is in the chat. Thoughts on RJ Harvey rest of season? Do I drop him? Maybe. It depends on the depth of your league, your roster. I don't know. Man. I'm sorry. I would try to hold him, is what I would say. Okay. All right. Keith, Dr. Carter, that's me, is giving off Fox Mulder vibes, working out of his basement office. How do you know I'm in the basement? Huh? Just because every fantasy writer lives in his mother's basement, it's not my mom's, it's mine. Okay. I moved out of mom's basement like 18 months ago. So, watch who you're talking to. All grown up now, 42. Look, I've been compared to Fox Mulder since I was a kid, since I was like in middle school. It just stuck with me. It's not the worst comparison. I'll be straight with you. I like the comparison because David Duchovny is a handsome guy. I'll take it. I will take it. Michael Carter or Chase Brown? I would go with Michael Carter. I talked about his matchup a little earlier. All right. One more. One more. All right. Matthew says, sit one between Rico Dowdle, Rashad White, or Quinshon Judkins. Yikes. Really? Man, that's tough. You can't sit Dowdle. You just literally cannot. I'm telling you guys, I'm telling you, like the fact that Dowdle had so many touches last week. He was targeted on like a crazy rate per route as a pass catcher. He's playing his former teammates. You can't bench him. You just have to find a way. And I believe in your potential to find that way. So you're playing Dowdle and you're playing God, in PPR. You're playing Judkins. God, I hate to bench Rashad White, but so it goes. All right, folks, that'll do it for the Week 6 Fantasy Football Q&A on the NFL and NBC YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Denny Carter. You can find all my work on Rotoworld. Check out the Rotoworld Football Show. We have good stuff. All right, so do that, and good luck to you, and only you in Week 6.